The Pacific Ocean looked calm that morning. Blue, endless, peaceful. But for 3 U.S. Navy pilots flying high above it, that calm was a lie. Within minutes, their aircraft would be ripped apart by fire. Their radios would go silent. Their parachutes would vanish into the endless blue. And beneath them, something was already waiting. Not enemy fighters, not submarines. Sharks, hungry, circling, drawn by sound, blood, and fear. This is not a story about a crash. This is a story about what happens after survival, when the ocean decides whether you live or disappear forever. The mission that should have been routine. Pacific Theater, 1944. By mid-1944, the Pacific War had turned into a massive chessboard. Islands were being taken one by one. Air superiority meant everything. That morning, 3 Navy pilots launched from an aircraft carrier deep in the Pacific. Their mission? Long-range patrol, enemy reconnaissance, escort duty for returning bombers. Routine, dangerous, but normal. The pilots were veterans. Each had survived dozens of missions. They trusted their planes, their training, their carrier waiting hundreds of miles behind them. None of them trusted the ocean. The pilots. Pilot 1, Lieutenant Jack Morrison. A calm, methodical flyer. He believed fear wasted fuel. Pilot 2, Ensign Robert Bobby Hale. Young, sharp-eyed. This was only his 9th combat mission. Pilot 3, Lieutenant Junior Grade Thomas Reed. Quiet, experienced, had already ditched once and swore he'd never do it again. The attack. At 22,000 feet. It happened. A warning shout crackled over the radio. "Bandits! 3 o'clock high!" Japanese fighters burst out of the sun. Zeros. The sky exploded. Tracers ripped past canopies. Engines screamed. Wings shattered. Morrison rolled hard left. Hale dove. Reed fired until his guns jammed. Then everything went wrong. Fast. One by one, they go down. Hale's plane. A burst of cannon fire hit his engine. Smoke poured out.
"I'm hit."
"I'm losing power." Seconds later, flames. He bailed out at 9,000 feet. His parachute opened. The ocean rushed up. Reed's plane. A Zero clipped his wing. The aircraft spun violently. No time to jump. He ditched, slamming into the water at over 120 millipes. The plane shattered. Morrison's plane. He fought longer than the others. Then a bullet hit his fuel line. Fire spread instantly. He jumped at just 2,000 feet. Barely enough. The Pacific closes in. All 3 survived the crash. That should have been the miracle. But the Pacific doesn't give miracles for free. The water was warm, too warm, which meant only one thing. Sharks. The first fin. Hale was the first to see it. A shadow. Long, smooth, moving just below the surface. Then another. Then another. His heart pounded so hard he thought it would tear his chest apart. Training manuals mentioned sharks. They never described how close they come. Reef or open water, a deadly choice. Reed clung to debris. He spotted Morrison's parachute drifting nearby. They shouted. They waved. They were alive and together, but they were surrounded by nothing. No land, no ships, no rescue planes, just blue water and fins. The blood problem. Hale had a cut on his leg, small, but bleeding. The water around him darkened. The sharks changed direction. They felt it. One passed beneath him, close enough to touch. He kicked instinctively. A mistake. The shark turned. Survival rules they forgot. Training said, don't splash. Stay calm. Keep eyes on sharks. Never turn your back. Reality said, panic or die. The first strike. It didn't attack Hale. It attacked the parachute. One bite. Silk vanished. Hale screamed as the shark ripped fabric beneath him. Another shark slammed into his leg. Not a bite. A warning. A test. Morrison makes a decision. Morrison saw it happen. He yelled across the water. Stay still.
"Don't kick!"
But fear is louder than advice. Morrison inflated his life raft. The yellow rubber looked like hope. Or bait. They realized the truth. The sharks weren't attacking blindly. They were waiting. Circling. Learning. The pilots weren't prey yet. They were being measured. The first man disappears. The ocean went silent. Not peaceful silent. Predator silent. The kind of quiet that exists just before something dies. The circle tightens. Morrison counted them. 1 fin. 2. 3. Then he stopped counting. They weren't random anymore. They were moving in patterns. Wide circles. Then tighter still. The sharks had decided. Hale's mistake. Hale was the youngest, and fear always chooses the youngest first. His leg burned where the shark had brushed him. Blood continued to leak, thin but constant. He tried to climb higher onto his parachute. The fabric tore. He slipped. His arm splashed. That splash was all it took. The hit. A gray shape erupted from below. Fast, silent. Hale felt pressure, not pain at first. Then pain everywhere. The shark didn't shake him. It didn't need to. One bite. Midsection. Clean. The water exploded red. Morrison watches helplessly. Morrison screamed. Not words, just sound. Reed yelled Hale's name again and again. The shark dragged Hale under. There was no struggle, no second chance, just bubbles. Then nothing. The sharks changed behavior. After Hale disappeared, the sharks went wild. They collided with each other. Water churned. Fins slashed the surface. Feeding frenzy. Then suddenly a calm again, as if nothing had happened. 2 men left. Morrison and Reed stared at the empty water. Hale was gone. No remains, no gear, no proof he had ever existed. The ocean erased him in seconds. The raft becomes a target. Morrison pulled Reed toward the raft. They barely fit. The yellow rubber creaked under their weight. Reed whispered, "They'll come for this next." He was right. The raft cast a shadow. Shadows attract hunters. The first ram. The impact came from below. Hard. The raft jumped. Morrison nearly fell out. Another hit. The shark was testing the material. Learning. A horrifying realization. Reed looked into the water. He saw eyes. Black. Unblinking. A tiger shark. Big. Too big. It brushed the raft slowly. Like a hand on a door. The sun becomes the enemy. Hours passed. The sun burned their skin. Salt crusted their lips. Thirst clawed at their throats. They couldn't drink. Couldn't move. Couldn't sleep. And the sharks never left. Reef's secret fear. Reed finally spoke. "I ditched once before. Sharks didn't come then." Morrison answered quietly. They knew someone was bleeding this time. Reed looked at his arm. A small cut. Still seeping. He stopped speaking. Nightfall, worse than day. As the sun sank, the ocean changed. The sharks became bold. They bumped the raft again. Harder. Closer. Morrison gripped his knife. A laugh escaped his throat. A broken laugh. "What am I supposed to do? Stab the ocean?" The second strike. The raft jolted violently. A fin sliced the side. Air hissed out. Slow leak. Reed pressed his hand over the cut. Blood dripped into the water. The sharks responded instantly. Reef knows. Reed looked at Morrison. Eyes clear. Calm. Too calm. "They'll take me first." Morrison shook his head. "No." Reed smiled, just a little. "You've got the raft. You've got the knife." He removed his hand. Blood streamed freely. The Pacific never gave Morrison an answer. No victory, no mercy, no apology. Hours later, a rescue plane finally appeared. They pulled him from the water alive. But something was missing. He never swam again, never flew over open ocean, never spoke about sharks. Because some wars don't end when the enemy retreats. Some battles stay below the surface, waiting. If you think survival means safety, remember this story. Because sometimes surviving is only the beginning.